I'm going to show you my secret to stopping anxiety permanently so that it's gone forever. Done with, zip, completely done with in this video. Hi, I'm Johnny. This is Zen Mindset, and in this video I'm going to show you how to never have anxiety ever again and how to turn off your anxious responses. The problem we have in the 21st century is we scooch terms into umbrella terms like anxiety. Anxiety covers an awful lot of things. The analogy I often give is if I said to you, I'm going to take you on holiday, pack your bag, you might be, woohoo, that's amazing. But then you would think, well, what do I pack? Because your holiday could be diving in Egypt, it could be sunbathing in Barbados, it could be hiking in Alaska, it could be skiing in the Alps, it could be walking in the fens. It's all kinds of holiday. There's all kinds of anxiety. So I break it down into 5 separate components. We have anxiety, we have stress, we have panic, we have alarm, and we have overwhelm. We're going to feature just 3 of those. That's going to be anxiety, it's going to be alarm, and it's going to be panic. Stress and panic are very similar. We'll get to that in a minute. But the best way I can find to explain these states, these conditions, is with wasps. And I know that may seem a bit weird, but bear with me. So imagine you're outside a cafe. It's a beautiful hot summer's day. You've got glasses of wine, soft drinks, you've got cookies, you've got cakes, you've got jelly. It's an amazing day. We're having a lovely summer celebration. Then all of a sudden, a wasp appears and you freak out because you're terrified of wasps. You believe you're allergic to wasp stings, so you start freaking out. You're waving your arms around like a lunatic. You knock your glass over, you knock your chair over, you're running around. You don't care what people think you look like. You go off the pavement onto the road and back onto the pavement again. And you do this until the wasp is gone and you feel safe again and you come back to being calm. So let's look at what actually happens to the physiology of that, because it's important we do this. Because once you understand anxiety isn't just you, it's an evolutionary safety mechanism, that everybody has anxiety, half the work is done. When you realize it's not something you uniquely have got, you're supposed to have it, getting beyond that becomes an awful lot easier. So you see the wasp. There's a part in your brainstem called the reticular activating system. That's your radar. It's constantly monitoring, looking for things and threats. You see the wasp, that instantly goes through to the amygdala, your alert and threat response system. That then affects your sympathetic nervous system, goes into panic, and tells your pituitary to pump you full of stress hormones of adrenaline and cortisol. As soon as adrenaline hits your blood, your heart starts racing, you start hyperventilating, your pupils dilate so you can see things better, your heart's pumping more blood around your body, you're breathing hard so that you get more oxygen to give you more fuel for your body. You are in fight or flight mode. The reason for this is to assess the situation, whether to fight it or run away. But your amygdala, your threat response, does something else quite fascinating. It turns off your prefrontal cortex. Now this is your executive functioning part of your brain. And it does that for a very, very good and fascinating reason. So let's go back to cave people, because that's the reason why we have these reactions and these processes. We've only been around as humans for about 300,000 years. We like to think we're advanced because we've got smartphones and self-driving cars and jumbo jets. But compared to cats that have been around for 10 million years, we're not even infants. And the problem that us humans have is we've got a 21st century computer up here, but it's running ancient software. The responses we have as if we're still in the cave. So let's go back to the cave and explain why these things happen the way that they do. You're a cave person. A massive saber-toothed tiger appears outside your cave. Your amygdala turns off your prefrontal cortex, as well as having the stress responses. And the reason for that is, it doesn't want you going, wow, that's a massive saber-toothed tiger. That's the biggest one I've seen. Is that a lesser spotted saber-toothed tiger, or is that the red-backed woodland saber-toothed tiger? Is that a male or a female? Is it saber-toothed tiger seasons? Aren't they meant to be hibernating now? Anyway, I'm going to go and get my toga and I'm going to make my way out of the cave. By then, you'd be dead and eaten. So that's the reason why your brain turns off your prefrontal cortex and puts you into binary mode. It doesn't want you thinking, it wants you reacting. So the wasp is gone, you start laughing about it. That's dopamine hitting your body. That's the third hormone. Dopamine is your reward hormone. That's the high you get. So you're laughing, oh my God, did you see the size of that wasp? Oh, I'm so afraid of wasps. And you joke about it. Oh. That dopamine turns off the stress hormones. And that's a really important thing to be aware of. It turns off the cortisol and the adrenaline. And slowly, within about 90 seconds, they've left your body. You go back to stasis. You're calm. You can go, look, should we go and eat indoors? So that's panic. That's what panic's for, to keep you safe. Alarm, well, alarm's like a turned down version of panic. So let's look at the same scenario. You're sat outside the cafe, you've got your sugary drinks, you've got your wine, you've got your cakes and your cookies. But in this scenario, wasps, a couple of wasps in the distance are buzzing around, annoying people in tables further down. Well, your reticular activator has done the same thing. It's identified the threat. It's informed your amygdala and you're having a threat response. You then, same thing happens. Your sympathetic nervous system kicks in. You go into fight or flight. Your heart gets pumped full of adrenaline. You produce cortisol. But it hasn't shut down your prefrontal cortex completely. It's turned it down. And what you'd notice in that situation is you can't quite hear what your friends are saying because you're concentrating on the job at hand. You're like, and you might go, sorry, I'm not really listening. Sorry, there's wasps over there and I hate wasps. I think I'm allergic to wasp stings. You're still in functioning brain mode, so you can look at the situation, assess it and go, guys, do you mind if we eat indoors? I'm terrified of wasps. So when you go inside the restaurant, away from the threat, the same thing happens. You laugh about it, you produce dopamine, and the dopamine turns off the stress hormones of adrenaline and cortisol. Problem solved. Stress is kind of the same. Stress is if you were going to go to the restaurant later that day and you're afraid of wasps and you're aware there may be wasps because you're going to be there in a few hours, you may ring ahead and say to the restaurant, could we eat indoors because I'm afraid of wasps? And that's why stress is good for you sometimes, because it makes you focus. Stress is what gets people to get dissertations in time. Stress is what allows you to hit deadlines. And once the deadline's hit, dopamine, turn off the stress hormones. So we know what adrenaline does. Cortisol, the steroid hormone, well, that's a bad guy. You don't want that residing in your body for long periods of time. Cortisol ruins your libido. It affects your insulin resistance. So anything you eat, you will convert to sugar and make fat from. It makes you break down your body to get sugar in your blood quicker. It puts you into famine mode. It ruins your libido, makes you feel lethargic, makes you feel crap. Again, there's an evolutionary reason for what cortisol does. So let's go back to caveman again. Saber-toothed tigers come, you've gone into binary mode and you've had to run away from your cave. When you look at it logically, you've left your home, you've left your food supplies, you've left your food stores. You don't know where you live now. You don't know if there's other saber-toothed tigers. You don't know if there's marauding enemy tribes that are going to try and kill you. And you've got nowhere to stay. And you may have a partner or infants. So what cortisol does, the reason why it makes you feel lethargic, is it doesn't want you burning excess calories. It ruins your libido, so you don't want to bump uglies for the same reason. We don't need to be doing that right now. We are in famine and survival mode. It breaks down your muscles. In catabolism, it breaks down your muscles to produce adenosine triphosphate to give you fuel, and it will convert what you eat to fat because it wants you to survive over long periods of time because you don't know where your home is. You don't know where your food is. You don't know anything, so you're locked into survival mode, feeling lethargic, feeling low, not feeling horny, getting fatter, and all your gains are disappearing because of cortisol, because you're eating your own muscles to survive. If cave person discovers a new cave and it's wonderful, confirmation bias, which we'll do in another video, which can be a problem because it makes us collect information as to why we're right. But confirmation bias will go, this is even better than where we came from. And it backs up your reward system. So you get a massive hit of dopamine. This is amazing. This is even better. Look at all the berries and fruits that we can eat right outside the cave. There's no footprints of saber-toothed tigers or other tribes. This is amazing. Dopamine high turns off the stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. But just think about that for a moment. Cortisol makes you lethargic, ruins your libido, makes you feel sick. There's one client I was treating with had endometriosis as a symptom of being overloaded with cortisol and stress hormones. Absolute pain, and it wasn't until we went for a practice that the symptoms disappeared. It makes you gain weight. It affects your insulin response. It makes you crave sugary, fatty foods because it wants you to store fat. So the reason why if you're stressed, you're craving chocolate at the end of the night, late at night, is because you're in famine mode. That is cortisol in your body. Not great. So let's get to anxiety. Anxiety, now that's a problem. Anxiety, let's say your friends eat out twice a month and they always eat outdoors, always, and you're terrified of wasps. In fact, you believe wasps have a vendetta against you. Wasps hate you because maybe you accidentally killed a wasp when you were a kid and the wasps know your face and they're looking for you. And if you eat outside, the wasps are going to find you and you're going to get stung by hundreds of wasps and you're going to look like an idiot waving your arms around. You're going to fall on the floor, knock the table over. You're going to get stung by hundreds of wasps, have big, massive, welty stings. Everybody's going to laugh at you and they're going to take videos of it and they're going to post it online and you're going to become an internet meme and you'll never be able to go outside again because you will forever be laughed at and they're going to call you the person wasps wanted to murder. But it isn't real. It's in your head. You're not actually at the restaurant, you're just thinking these things. But here's the problem. The human brain, from an evolutionary reason again, cannot understand a negative. And just think about that for a minute. Your brain cannot understand a negative. So if I say to you, whatever you do, don't think of a pink elephant, you've just thought of a pink elephant because your brain can't not do something. It doesn't understand a negative. So if I now say to you, look, whatever you do, don't think of a pink elephant on a trampoline. You've just thought of a pink elephant on a trampoline. You can't not think it. That then instantly from the hippocampus gets downloaded to your subconscious and that thought lives inside you forever. And this, what we've just done, pink elephant thinking, you'll think about that when you explain it to other people. It now exists in you. But the same has to be said for thinking about wasps, or your partner not loving you anymore, or you're going to get sacked from work, or nobody's ever going to love you, or you're not worthy, or any numerous kind of self-catastrophizing thoughts. Your brain doesn't know it isn't real. So in this scenario, when you're thinking about wasps are going to sting you, your brain gets wasps are stinging you. And when you're then thinking, I'm going to look an idiot, your brain's getting, you're looking an idiot. And the embarrassment and all the sensations that would happen if you were there are actually physiologically happening to you right now. Your body's pumping you full of stress hormones. It's pumping you full of adrenaline. It's pumping you full of cortisol. But it's not actually happened. And when I said those stress hormones will leach out of your brain in 90 seconds, it actually does. But the problem is, when you're overplaying it in your head again and again and again and again, you're having the same reaction and you're pumping your body for the stress hormones again and again and again and again. But because you're not there, you're lying in bed, or you're driving to work, or you're at work, or with your partner, having these catastrophizing stress thoughts, your body doesn't know it's not real because your brain can't understand a negative and it's pumping you full of more and more and more stress hormones, which is the reason why your heart races, the reason why that you feel so low and lethargic and you crave sugary foods and you're putting on weight and you feel crap and this anxious brain you've got is because the things that you're anxious about, your brain doesn't know it's not happening. But the reality is, it isn't real. You're not there. You're having a reaction to something that hasn't happened yet. And even if it's a past one you're using, it happened ages ago, it's not happening now. So that is how anxiety is really, really bad for you. Well, that's great, you may go, that's brilliant. How do we stop it? Well, here's the cool bit. I'm going to tell you how to stop that, how to completely eradicate that part and that thought process. First of all though, I'm going to show you a really cool little thing. I don't believe in hacks. There's no quick shortcuts to healing and getting better. But in this instance, we can kind of do a factory reset like you do on a phone when a phone doesn't work. So let's just try something. I want you to say to yourself right now, and say it out loud if you can, say it internally if you're around other people, but just say to yourself, I wonder what my next thought will be. Just say that. I wonder what my next thought will be. Weird, isn't it? There's no thoughts. There's white space. That crunching noise in your head grinds to a halt and your brain stops. And then slowly, like a computer rebooting, the cogs start turning and you come back to where you were. That's because asking your brain a direct question, which is something we don't ever do, causes a disruption in our default neural network. Our brain works on a kind of a goal-orientated structure of thinking. You're in free thinking, so thoughts go from thoughts to thoughts to thoughts. Imagine Tarzan swinging on a vine of information in an information jungle. So it's like you go from thinking and feeling to problem solving because you've asked yourself a direct question. We can do that. We can make that a practical process. So I've developed a thing called the traffic light system, and everybody that I've taught this to works every time. Everybody. And it's a very, very simple system because I do believe a lot of people try and make something simple and make it complicated to sound cool. I believe in the opposite. You could take something complicated and make it simple. That's success. So the traffic light system, it's because we all know how traffic lights work. Red, amber, green. Red, stop, amber, wait, green, go. So what we're going to do is when we ask our brain a direct question, it causes a paradox in the default neural network. Your brain doesn't normally get asked a direct question, so that goes into problem solving mode, into free thinking mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to say to ourselves, when you have these anxious conscious thoughts, think of a traffic light, think of red light, and then ask yourself the following question. There's two ways you can do it, but I always literally use my brain's name. I go, brain, why are you thinking that? Literally, red light, stop, brain, why are you thinking me that? Or brain, why are you telling me that? Your brain then goes into that paradoxical mode and it goes into problem solving mode instead of free thinking. And it has to provide evidence because you've asked it a direct question. So if you're having horrible thoughts about, let's say, I feel like my partner's going to leave me. I'm anxious about it. We're not very close anymore. We're just sort of, she's not talking very much. And brain, why are you telling me this? Your brain has to go into problem solving mode and it has to present you with data. So it will look in your memory reserves, in your hippocampus, in your subconscious memory, and it will present you with facts. Well, your partner has been very quiet. She hasn't been talking, you haven't been seeing her so much. She has been, quiet and not as close as you, there's not so much intimacy. Amber light, and this is the important one, you ask your brain, is it true? Or is it real? And again, because your brain is in problem solving mode, it has to tell you the truth. It can't go on feelings because you can't Google feelings or emotions. You can only Google facts. So you're asking your brain a direct question. Is it real? Or is it true? And the brain has to again give you evidence. Well, yeah, it is, but she has been very busy and she is going for this promotion and she's been working really late and she is exceptionally tired. So is it real? Is she falling in love with you? Probably not. I just think she's really, really focused at the moment. I don't think she is. I just think emotionally you're feeling that way. Fantastic. Then you go to your green light, you can go. Likewise, work. You could be thinking, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to get sacked. Work's really required. You could be anxious driving the way to work, panicking about paying your rent, paying for the finance on your car, panic, emotions. Red light, stop. Brain, why are you telling me this? Again, work has been quiet. Work has been really quiet. There's not so much work coming in. You could lose your job. Amber light, is it real? Is it true? Your brain would go, Probably, yeah. Yeah, there's evidence supporting how you're feeling that you could lose your job. It's not great. And here's the other fascinating thing. Because your brain's in solving mode instead of free thinking mode, it always has to provide resolutions and solutions to how you're thinking. So you don't have an emotional reaction to it. Instead of stressing about, oh, and in the future, anxious stress, full of stress hormones, oh, it goes, what you might need to do is update your CV. Start talking to suppliers about you may be wanting to leave, or get your CV on some of the job sites, or talk to competitors. And in doing that amber light situation, you then have a plan of action. And a plan of action gives you that hit of euphoria. That plan of action gives you your dopamine because it's a plan, and that starts turning off the storage hormones. That then leads you to the green light, and you can go. So the traffic light system is effectively a way of turning off those stress responses. Red light, stop. Is it real? Stop. Brain, why are you telling me this? And your brain, instead of doing that anxious thinking about wasps and hundreds of wasps in that scenario, why are you telling me this? Well, because you're afraid of wasps and you don't like wasps. Wasps could sting you. Amber light, is it real? Your brain will go, well, not really, no. You've never been stung by a wasp. You don't even know if you're allergic to wasp stings, actually. And what's the likelihood of being, I mean, how many people die from wasp stings? Hardly any more, actually. No, it's not real. You'll probably be fine. Actually, you're more likely to be fine and have a wonderful day. There's no reason at all to be stressed about wasps. It's just me, yeah, sorry, you're fine. Go out and have a great time. Green light, go. But in that amber and green, you start producing the dopamine that turns off your stress hormones. And that's a bit like a factory reset on your brain. It works, but you have to get in the habit of doing it more often. So every time you start having stressful thoughts or intrusive thoughts or negative thinking, remember the traffic lights. Red, stop. Brain, why are you telling me this? And your brain has to go into problem solving instead of free thinking. And when you're in problem solving, not free thinking, you're not having an emotional response to something, you're having a factual response to something. Is it real? Is it true? It has to give you the truth. And the truth is never like you imagine, because we always think of worst case scenarios. Green light, everything's fine, off you go. So absolutely, if you lose the traffic light system, if you use it often, you will stop having anxious stress responses to stuff. Hope you liked the video. If you want to know more about stress or anxiety or panic or anger or the hormone responses, put it in the comments and I'll do what I can for you, and I'll do another video. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much.